Welcome to Fireside Giants. My name is Alex with my co-host here, Anthony Rivardo. Happy Friday, everybody. We got the OTAs going on today with Kenny Golladay showing up. Kadarius Toney signed his rookie deal yesterday, and the Giants are on the field getting some action, and we saw a couple passes from Daniel Jones to Kenny Golladay. Literally almost made me shed a tear. I cannot wait to see that duo of players really produce more for this Giants offense that ranked 31st in the NFL in points per game last season. And we know what happened last time Saquon Barkley had a wide receiver one to utilize, and he had over 2,000 all-purpose yards. So hopefully he comes back 100% healthy, and he can reap the benefits from Kenny Golladay being there and just drawing so much attention. Plus the additions of Kadarius Toney, John Ross, Kyle Rudolph, still having Sterling Shepard, Dante Pettis, and Evan Ingram. And you know what? I'm pretty excited about this team. I know you guys are. We're starting to get some clips, starting to get some action flowing, and we're so excited to get you all of that information and those clips and videos that we can find online. And I'll scatter them throughout this video too, so you can get a good look at those OTA practices. But this topic today is probably one Anthony is very passionate about. I know I am as well, as Anthony is the leader of the Joe Judge fan club. And an NBC analyst came out, Patrick Dougherty. And he had some pretty harsh things to say about Joe Judge, coining him as one of the worst head coaches in the NFL after just one season. And the article was tone deaf. He's been trying to back it up on social media, saying that he was being positive. He was trying to spin it in a good way, and that he was actually being nice to Joe Judge. And I would say to him, and I'll read the exact quote from this in a little bit, it's just blasphemous. It's blasphemous, you know? Like, the guy is a court jester at your local medieval times. You know, he's the court jester. And I'll tell you what, I think that for the most part, Joe Judge proved to us a lot more than what he had to say, this NBC reporter. And I'm going to rant about this in a minute, because he missed some big contextual ideas here. Just massive, just over his head, whiffed like he was playing wiffle ball, throwing curveballs at him. It's unbelievable. So, Anthony, before we dive into this blasphemy, how you doing today, my friend?
I'm hanging in there, pushing through this sinus infection. If you guys were on the live stream last night, you know that I'm now venereal Anthony with a concoction of diseases just living inside of him. That's me, pushing through that, but also very, very angry today because of this reporter, Patrick Dougherty, slandering my boy Joe Judge. And as a leader of the Joe Judge fan club, I will not tolerate such slander. I will not tolerate anything negative being said about my king, Joe Judge. So I'm here to tear that apart, to get angry at this Patrick, and to defend my king and honor my king, Joe Judge, because he is not one of the worst coaches in the NFL. I don't even know how you could say that after one season, and especially after everything he did after that one season, the way that he changed the culture of the New York Giants and steered us into a new direction. Joe Judge has had a huge impact on this team, has had a huge impact on the direction that the team is heading in, and I think that we can only be happy with everything that Joe Judge did in his first season with the Giants.
Yeah, I mean, the guy had Mike McCarthy rated above Joe Judge, and what he did with Dallas last year was borderline embarrassing. You know, their offense,
and Matt Rule.
Okay.
And Matt Rule as well. Like, Matt Rule he went 5-11, Joe Judge went 6-10, and he didn't have the turnaround midseason that the Giants had. Like, I don't understand. They were both rookie head coaches. Why is Matt Rule ahead of Joe Judge?
And he had a
Joe
great
Judge had the better
offense.
season. Yeah, he had a lot more talent to work with, too.
It's just dumb. It's dumb. Like, just straight up foolish. And I'll read you what he had to say about Joe Judge, and I'll kind of break down some of the just things that pissed me off as I went through this. He says, Joe Judge began his Giants career with bits. No names on jerseys, etc. I made him an easy punchline for a slumping organization. No names on jerseys? Like, who the hell cares about that in the first place? Already starting off like an absolute idiot. Things started off equally poorly during the regular season, where Judge's squad produced 0-5 and 1-7 records. Okay, that's fair. You know, this is where it's like, okay, he did start off slowly, but why did he start off slowly? Why did he have a tough start to the 2020 season? That's where he misses. He doesn't even talk about it. The second half was much better, with the G-Men closing 5-3 and coming within a Nate Sudfeld cameo of winning their pathetic division. That's fair. The Giants, if you want to win, and if you want to make the playoffs, you have to be better than the worst division in football. You have to be better than that, and I agree with that narrative there. With offense exploding league-wide, the Giants were a rare bulwark for the other side of the ball, surrendering 94 fewer points than the year prior. That was the 9th best mark in football after 3 seasons of finishing 23rd or worse. The problem was Judge's offense, which showed 0 second-year improvement under erratic starter Daniel Jones. Is this Judge's offense, or is this Jason Garrett's offense with absolutely no weapons The Giants went out and actually went into free agency and got Blake Martinez, James Bradbury, just a variety of different defensive playmakers, and they ended up helping this defense get to a top 10 unit in the NFL. But then you're asking about the offense. They didn't do anything to help the offense, nothing. Saquon Barkley goes down week 2. You have nothing there. You have rookies scattered across the offensive line. You have receivers who can't get separation. You have Golden Tate, who is so washed up. The guy is on national television begging for more targets and can't get any separation. He can't get yards after the catch. I don't even know what he was talking about. Joe Judge shut him down really quickly, so that's nothing to worry about. But it's just disappointing because this guy comes out of nowhere making rash observations and statements and has no context behind them. Doesn't even give an answer as to why the offense was a problem. Is it Joe Judge's fault? Absolutely not. Guy came in here with no preseason, no this, no that, no in-person training. An offensive line that was pieced together in the previous draft, and a new center, a journeyman right tackle, and Will Hernandez, who has underperformed the past couple of years. And we're sitting here trying to justify what he's saying about this offense. The offense had never had a chance. They never stood a chance. Week 1 against the Pittsburgh Steelers, best defense in the NFL, they got completely destroyed. That set the tone for the first half of the season. Andrew Thomas was injured. We know this. Will Hernandez had COVID and was injured. Matt Parrott got COVID. You know what I mean? No context here again. So let me finish this quote, and Anthony, I'll let you get some words in. The front office is throwing weapons at the issue, the offense. But it will fall to Judge to make lemonade out of Jones's lemons. Pause. Another weird-ass statement from this guy, Patrick Doherty. Make Judge to make lemonade out of Jones's lemons. You couldn't think of anything more creative than that weird-ass statement. Judge can sometimes feel like a football parody. So now he's comparing Judge to Bill Belichick, who is like the football guy, right? He's the epitome of the football guy. A football guy parody. No, he's just the youngest head coach in the NFL and actually knows what he's doing. Shut up, freaking Patrick. He took the Sudfeld thing just a little too personally. Already we know this guy Patrick's an Eagles fan because even players on the Eagles were talking shit about the coaching staff for letting this happen. Only their Eagles players were talking shit about Doug Peterson for doing this, right? And then he got fired shortly after. So though he has successfully towed the line of instilling a hard-nosed attitude while keeping his players' respect. And again, I said this on the live stream. What the hell is this guy talking about? He's making it seem like he barely towed the line of instilling a hard-nosed attitude. This guy clearly hasn't seen any coaches from the past. Tom Coughlin won 2 Super Bowls as a hard ass. Bill Belichick is the hardest of asses. Pause. You know what I mean? That's kind of the reality with good football coaches. Some of them manage to do it a different way, but a lot of good football coaches are disciplined. They hold their players accountable. Just think about Pat Shurmur and Ben McAdoo, complete pushovers. Our players are running rampant all over them. Eli Apple's mom had the biggest voice in the locker room at one point. Pat Shurmur didn't say a word. Ben McAdoo didn't say a word. They didn't do anything. Joe Judge isn't going to let this happen. The second Golden Tate tried to say something on national television, guy almost got his shit cut. Mark Colombo tried to talk back and fight him for hiring a consultant, to Dave Guglielmo. Got his shit cut. You know what I mean? Joe Judge is actually holding people accountable and letting guys run rampant across this organization, which is part of a culture, part of developing a culture. And Joe Judge said it a couple days ago. The one thing that I did last year that I'm really proud of is we developed a culture here. We developed something, a foundation, when there wasn't one before. This is the final line from this quote. He says, "There's a chance 2020 was Judge's ceiling." Patrick, just go to sleep, bro. The fact it wasn't the floor campaign so many were expecting was a surprising, encouraging development. I see last year as Joe Judge's floor, personally. The guy made our defense, which we expected to be one of the worst in the league, a top 10 unit. Our offense struggled, yes, but for a variety of reasons that were out of his control. He navigated this team through a worldwide pandemic with rookies scattered across the roster that were starting, undrafted free agents that had no choice but to have starting roles like Austin Mack by the midway point, week 7, week 8. Joe Judge navigated one of the hardest things an NFL team will ever have to face, aside from a nuclear bomb hitting New York. You know what I mean? He managed to find a way out of this and come out a stronger team with a better culture. The guy is missing so much context here. The guy, I don't know what he was smoking. I don't know what he was on, a nice medley of drugs. But I want to stay away from whatever he has. I want to stay away from whatever medley of drugs he was doing, Anthony. What are you thinking about this nonsense? The guy lacks so much context. He at least could have asked a beat writer or something to give him some context before writing this absolute disgusting article.
I think the part that's really confusing to me is when he says that Joe Judge took the Sudfeld thing just a little too personally. Of course, referring to when the Philadelphia Eagles tanked the final game of the season in order to get a higher draft pick and keep the Giants from making the playoffs, everything in between. Now, if you go read Joe Judge's quotes about that, I don't know how he says they took it too personally. Basically, to summarize what Joe Judge said, he had players coming up to him all day long asking him, what did you feel about that? Would we ever do something like that? And he assured them, and then he assured the media that he told them, we would never do that as long as I am head coach of the Giants. We will never intentionally lose a game because it's disrespectful to the game. It's disrespectful to the effort that everyone who opted into the season, the COVID season, made. They put in all of this hard work to be here. They had to go through extensive protocols just to be here. So Joe Judge was saying we would never do that. We would never lose a game intentionally because we understand just how much people sacrifice just to have an opportunity to play in these games and compete for 60 minutes. That's what Joe Judge said. And he said, so we're not going to make it. He also said this because this is important because it's not like Joe Judge was upset about it and took it personally because he wanted his team to make the playoffs. He wasn't, because this is what he said about that part of it. So we're not going to make excuses as an organization, Judge said. Not now, not ever. We had our opportunities. And the Giants did. They had 16 opportunities. They lost 10 of them. Had they won 2 more of them, they absolutely would have made the playoffs. That's on the Giants. That's not on anybody else. That's on the New York Giants. You want to blame that on individual players like Evan Engram? You can. Go ahead. You can blame it on Jones, whoever you want. But the New York Giants did have 16 opportunities, as Joe Judge acknowledged, and they did not win enough games to make the playoffs. He was not complaining about that part of it. All he was saying is that his players were asking for some guidance and clarification on this particular topic. Would Joe Judge ever tank a game? And he gave the clarification to them and assured them, no, I would never do that. And he was just stepping up and being a leader in the media for his players, as he's supposed to do. He just basically went to bat, put his neck out in front of the media to assure his players that he is their leader and that he will have their backs through everything because he understands how much they sacrifice to play this game and he appreciates them. And I think that was an admirable thing by Joe Judge, and I don't understand why Patrick is trying to twist that into some cynical thing, because that really doesn't make sense, and I think it's very disrespectful of Joe Judge, and like I said, anyone who disrespects Joe Judge is not a friend of myself, so that pissed me off, and I took that one personally. And then all the other stuff. Joe Judge said coming in last year that his goal is to build a foundation. And he said this at the end of the season. His goal wasn't necessarily to win the most games. Of course, the goal is always to win, but his main goal for the season was to build a good foundation. Don't we all think he accomplished that? Didn't he build a good foundation? The Giants completely changed the way that they acquire personnel and the way that they look at personnel acquisition, right? Like in terms of signing specific players to fit specific needs and fit the scheme. Right, you look at James Bradbury, Blake Martinez, those were perfect scheme fits who had great seasons. And then, of course, in terms of what they did in the NFL draft, trading down this year, that was something that Dave Gettleman never did. But once Joe Judge got here, the possibility of trading down became much more significant, and it eventually happened twice this year. So you have to think that he had a lot to do with that, and his foundation that he laid out had a lot to do with that. Joe Judge laid down a foundation for the Giants that they could build a mansion on top of, because his season 1, yeah, they went 6-10. They pushed for a playoff spot in the worst division of football, and they didn't make it. But the fact that they were playing competitive football in December and January said a lot about the Giants, because they hadn't done that in years. They've been, out of the playoff run, eliminated by November every single year for the past 3 years. Joe Judge turned that around, and granted, he did that in a bad division, but he still had his team winning games. He still had his team scheming together genius play calls. Like, think about the Seattle game. Colt McCoy starting as quarterback. We march into Seattle. We take down Russell Wilson and the Seahawks. That was an impressive display of leadership on every aspect of the team, and that was an aspect of Joe Judge put together a perfect coaching staff on the defensive side of the ball. We could criticize maybe the offensive side of the ball, But the defensive side of the ball, Joe Judge made every perfect hiring over there, and that led us to win multiple games this past season. Joe Judge laid down the foundation in that coaching staff because this is an excellent, highly experienced coaching staff that has multiple former head coaches on it. Joe Judge did a phenomenal job laying that foundation, laying the cultural foundation, and then, of course, laying the foundation in terms of how the Giants acquire their players and how they attack the NFL draft and free agency. If we're just talking about what Joe Judge's goal was for 2020 to lay that foundation, it's hard to argue that he didn't achieve it and didn't achieve it to the highest standard because the culture and the feeling around the New York Giants has changed significantly. And I understand why some Giants fans say Joe Judge gets a little bit too much credit because, people say, oh, he got us to trade down and everything. No, he works in collaboration with Dave Gettleman. They both deserve credit for these past 2 years. But Joe Judge had a clear, defined goal, and he accomplished it. He delivered on his promises. We've had head coaches come in here in the past, give us promises, and fail to deliver. Joe Judge gave us a promise, and he absolutely delivered. He struck the ball out of the park. So that's why I appreciate Joe Judge so much after one season, and why I feel really confident in the direction that the Giants are moving going forward. Joe Judge has changed the way that I feel about the Giants, because I was very low on them over the past 2 seasons, 3 seasons even, 4 seasons even. But now, with Joe Judge at the helm, I feel a lot more confident, and I have a new hope in my life with Joe Judge as the head coach of the New York Giants.
Look, I think you hit it on the head. This culture has changed dramatically since he took over. And I could sit here and talk about how great Joe Judge is all day, from the modernizing of this team to the saving of this culture. Let me just put it this way. 2 years ago, when the Giants were essentially cutting guys for saying crap in the locker room like Janoris Jenkins, and then trading OBJ and the antics that came with that, Landon Collins, we kind of went from like a well-respected organization to one that nobody respected, right? Everyone was like, that is a trash organization. Like, we've regained that respect. Teams respect us now. Players respect us now. And the proof is in the pudding. Look who came to us this free agency haul. We got the only number 1 receiver in free agency. And wide receiver 1s rarely hit free agency. It is a rarity to see a wide receiver 1 hit free agency. And he decided to come to the Giants. He had meetings with the Bears. He had a chance to go and play with Allen Robinson, but he didn't. He came to Daniel Jones. Who hasn't played very well the past 2 years, right? That says a lot to me about the coach, about the vision that this team has, because Kenny Golladay said it best. The vision that Joe Judge and Jason Garrett explained to me for this offense is part of the reason I wanted to come here. That and the 4 years and $72 million, of course. But I'll tell you what. They have a vision for this team that includes success. It includes modernizing their approach. Russ Callaway, big Air Coryell air raid, downfield-centric guy. They hire him. That says a lot to me. Patrick Graham, the way that they're using press man coverage, adding more pass rushers. They're modernizing their defense to become more diverse in disguising coverages, right? They did it last year. They established a base concept that really wasn't base at all. It was very unique and very, very hard to interpretate if you're an offensive coordinator or an offensive quarterback. What they did last year said so much more to me than what Patrick Dougherty is telling me right now about Joe Judge. He tried to say that he was trying to be positive about Judge, but he wasn't even close. He missed the mark by 1,000 freaking feet. You know what I mean? Way longer than that. The guy was like Dogecoin, trying to get to the moon. Might never happen. But I'll tell you what, Joe Judge is the real deal. He's learned from Bill Belichick and Nick Saban. He knows how to be the real deal. He's not a football guy parody. He is a football guy. The guy grew up as a scout. He grew up with brothers. He grew up in the football family. He grew up in New England. He grew up in the system of Bill Belichick and learning how to coach the special teams, which includes both sides of the ball. The value of having good special teams players. Because Andrew Thomas plays on special teams too. You know what I mean? There are starters that are on that field goal unit. You know what I mean? He also coached the wide receivers. He has insane knowledge of how to scout players. He goes to the Senior Bowl. He goes and does all of those things as a head scout, but also as a head coach. He is like the bundle. He's like the unisex hat. Like the one size fits all hat. He can do everything well. And Yeah, like, you see like a unisex barber or something like that.
I get what you're saying. I would have probably said like the progressive bundle. That would have been a better analogy in my opinion.
The progressive
you ever see
bundle?
those commercials? The progressive
yes,
commercials?
yes.
The progressive bundle.
Okay,
Plus,
he's the
the
progressive
Giants have
bundle.
been a lot more progressive since Judge got here. I think that one works perfectly.
That's fair. All right, so he's the progressive bundle. And I think that moving forward, we're going to see this team continue to take steps forward and not backward. This offense did enough to get better in 2021. They did enough. It might not be above average, but we're aiming from the dumpster bins. We're aiming from the trash can, the bottom of the trash can where the gum is stuck on the bottom. That's where we are right now. And we're just trying to get to the recycling bin, as Anthony said in the live stream. We're going from the gum stuck on the bottom of the trash bin to the recycling bin. At least we respect the recycling bin. The recycling bin gets done, does the trick. You know what I mean? It's not Willy Wonka's chocolate bar, but it's a recycling bin. We're going all out with the analogies today, Anthony. Some of them are good, some of them are absolutely horrific, just like Patrick Doherty's take. But this is kind of the idea. OTAs, I don't give a crap if it is to put freaking names on the jerseys. Everyone should be equal in OTAs. Everybody's fighting for a roster spot. Joe Judge said it when he first came here. Nobody is guaranteed a starting spot. Everybody has to earn their role. I don't care if it's Saquon Barkley. I don't care if it's Daniel Jones. Everybody has to earn the role. Yes, you assume most guys are penciled in at some positions. But the reality is that he wants everybody to work hard every single day. And that's why he congratulates and really talks about Evan Ingram's work ethic a lot. The drops, this and that. But the guy works his ass off. That's what Joe Judge wants. That's why he trusts Evan Ingram. He believes in him because the guy works so hard to get better at his craft. Eventually, he'll be put in a spot where he can capitalize on it. I think this upcoming season he will, because they kind of masked his issue in that middle of the field drop range. So just wanted to get this off my chest, Anthony. I know you did too, talking about Patrick Doherty and how those takes. His take was just blasphemous, court jester-esque. I can't even stand to see this nonsense, and I'm very excited for this upcoming season. I'm very excited for camp to get started and whatnot. Do you have anything else left to say about this? Because I think I'm done talking about this guy. He doesn't deserve any more of our attention.
Yeah, I'm not going to mention Patrick anymore, but I am going to say those clips of Kenny Golladay catching passes from Daniel Jones, only thing keeping me going right now. I'm very sick. I feel like crap. But I rise from bed and I watch those Kenny Golladay clips from OTAs, and it makes me feel a lot better. Brings happy tears to my eyes watching Daniel Jones tossing passes to Kenny Golladay. I can't wait to watch those guys hit the field together. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, let me know down in the comment section below, how many touchdowns are Kenny Golladay and Daniel Jones going to connect on in 2021? I'm going to say at least 7, but curious to know how many you guys think down below. I'm sure plenty of you are going to say like 20 or something ridiculous, but hopefully you're right about that. I'm excited, and I just can't wait to see Kenny Golladay suit up in an official New York Giants uniform this year.
Absolutely, me too. I'm so excited to see what this offense can do. And another couple of things, Matt Pert looks like he gained some muscle mass apparently. He looks bigger. That guy can be a beast, man. He actually has potential to be a fantastic tackle. I'm very excited to see how he develops. Andrew Thomas apparently looks a little bit bigger too, a little bit stronger. So that's a good sign. I mean, end of the day, man, that's all you can ask for, just growth. And these rookies taking steps forward, getting bigger, stronger, developing into their bodies. And I'm very excited to see how they perform during camp, my friends. But make sure to go check out our exclusive member section that we just unraveled on Thursday. You can click the join button, and it offers a couple different options. We have a bunch of people already signed up for the gold membership, and we're going to be rolling out fantasy stuff, giveaways, exclusive content, interviews. All of our videos you'll be able to see early, a couple hours if they're day of videos, but if they're in the future, like film breakdowns, if we have any unique statistics we come across, edits and stuff, we're going to be posting everything there. It's a very small fee, and we'll do like priority commenting. We'll do live streams and live chats behind the scenes just for you guys. So I'm really, really excited to get involved in the exclusive section of that membership program, and have you guys be a part of our community in a more in-depth role. So that's really exciting for me, and I'm excited to get that rolling, my friends. But as always, have a fantastic Friday. Enjoy your weekend. I know it's going to be hot. Go sit by the pool if you have one. Go to the beach. It's going to be beautiful. I'll spend some time with family as always, and I hope you guys subscribe below on YouTube. Make sure to like the video as always, and subscribe on Apple and Spotify if you don't want to watch the YouTube video but you just want to watch the audio. Always a fun thing to do. If you're riding your bike, walking your dog, or sick as a dog like Anthony, you can listen. But catch you guys on the next one. Have an awesome day.